Okay, so welcome to our topic number 11. So finding the number of roots of polynomial equations. Okay, so by the way, when we talk of roots, it also refers to the zeros of the polynomial equations. Okay, so I have here three set of examples. So find the roots of the following polynomial equations. So we have number 1, we have quantity x plus 3, x minus 2, times the quantity of x plus 1, x minus 1 is equal to 0. So how many real roots do we have and how many number of real roots? Okay, so before that, let us recall first the zero product property. So for all real numbers a and b, if ab is equal to 0, if and only if a is equal to 0 or b is equal to 0 or both. Okay, so how will you find the real roots? So you are going to apply the zero product property. So since x plus 3 is equal to 0, so that would be x plus 3 is equal to 0. Therefore, you add negative 3 both sides. So that becomes x is equal to negative 3. So one of the real root is negative 3. Same with x minus 2. So how will you do that? So I'll just show here. So x minus 2 is equal to 0. Add positive to both sides. So therefore x becomes positive 2. So one of the real root is positive 2. So how about x plus 1? So what would be the real root? So that would be negative 1. And x minus 1, that would be positive 1. So how many number of real roots do we have? We have 4. Okay, next number 2, we have quantity x plus 5, quantity x minus 5, times the quantity x plus 5, times x minus 1 is equal to 0. So applying the zero product property, like what I did on number 1, so x equate to 0. So we have x plus 5 is equal to 0. So add negative 5 both sides. Therefore, x equals negative 5. So one of the root is negative 5. Okay, then same with x minus 5 is equal to 0. So that would be positive 5. Next, we also have x plus 5. So therefore, we have negative 5 as one of the real root. X minus 1, that would be positive 1. So the number of real roots we have is also 4. Okay, how about number 3? Quantity x plus 4 is square times the quantity of x minus 3 raised to 3 is equal to 0. So how many real roots do we have? We have, same with 1 and 2, apply the zero product property. Therefore, x plus 4 is equal to 0. So that becomes negative 4. So that is one of the root. And another one, we have negative 3. However, x plus 4 is raised to the second power. So it is 2 times. And the negative 3, x minus 3 is raised to the third power. Therefore, it means 3 times. So you can say multiplicity of 2. So negative 4 is the multiplicity of 2. And negative 3 is multiplicity of 3 since it occurs 3 times. So how many number of real roots do we have? We have 5. Okay, so that is very easy in finding the roots if they are in factored form. Okay, what if they are not in factored form? So the difficulty of finding the zeros of a polynomial equation increases when the polynomial is not expressed in factored form. So let's have an example. Okay, so number 1, we have 5x minus 3 is equal to 0. So how will you get the number of roots or of the polynomial equation? Okay, so add first 3 both sides. So we have 5x minus 3 plus 3 is equal to 0 plus 3. So you can cancel this one, that becomes 0. So the remaining is 5x equals 0 plus 3 is positive 3. Then you divide both sides by 5. So cancel 5, that becomes 1. Therefore, x is equal to 3 over 5. So it means 3 over 5 is the root or 0 of polynomial equation. So how many number? We only have 1 as the root of polynomial equation. Okay, next, let's have number 2. So we have 3x squared plus 4x plus 1 is equal to 0. Okay, so this time, we can use factoring, okay? So what are the factor of 3x squared? So it can be 3x times x. Because when you multiply this, that becomes equivalent to 3. You add the exponent, so we have x squared. So we can have here 3x, while the other one here is x. Since the constant is positive 1, so therefore we will use only positive numbers. Okay, so therefore we can have here positive 1, and this is also positive 1. Why? Because 1 times 1 is positive 1. So that is equal to 0. So let us equate to 0. So we have 3x plus 1 is equal to 0, while the other is x plus 1 is equal to 0. So by applying negative 1 both sides, 3x now so 3x is equal to negative 1. Divide both sides by 3. Therefore, x is equal to negative 1/3. So that is one of the root of polynomial equation. Another, x plus 1 is equal to 0. By adding negative 1 both sides, x now is equal to negative 1. So how many roots do we have? We have 2. So negative 1/3 and the other one is negative 1. Since the degree is in the power of 2, so it means we have 2 roots. If the degree is 1, we only have 1 root also. Okay, next on number 3. So on number 3 given, we have x cubed plus 6x squared plus 11x plus 6 is equal to 0. Okay, so this time let us use synthetic division. So make sure that the x is in the decreasing power of variable. Okay, then since the constant is 6, so we can use factors such as 1, 2, 3, or 6. Or you can also use negative numbers. Okay, so let us try negative 1 as one of the test 0. Okay, then write down all the coefficients. So 1 as the coefficient of x cubed, 6 coefficient of x squared, 11 coefficient of x, and then the constant, which is 6. Then bring down 1. You multiply to negative 1, that would be negative 1 always, since you are multiplying different sign. 6 plus negative 1 is positive 5. Multiply to negative 1, that is negative 5. Then you add, that is positive 6. Multiply to negative 1, that is negative 6. Therefore, the remainder is 0. Okay? So, 0 is now the remainder. So, 6 would be the constant. Okay? Then, 5 is the coefficient of x. Then, we have 1 as the coefficient of x squared. So, we can write it as x squared plus 5x plus 6 is equal to 0. So this time, let us use factoring. So what are the product of 6? So we can use 1 and 6, 2 and 3. Okay? Since the middle term is positive, so we have to use only positive number. Okay? So we have here x. Then the other one is also x since we have x squared. So we can use factor of 6 as positive 3, and the other one is positive 2 is equal to 0. So why I use 3 and 2? So if you want to check, you can multiply again 3 times x, 3x. X times 2 is 2x. So when you add that, that is 5x. So that is the middle term. So let us now equate to 0. So x plus 3 is equal to 0, while the other one is x plus 2 is equal to 0. So when you add negative 3 both sides, therefore x becomes negative 3. And the other one, x plus 2, so is equal to 0. When you add negative to both sides, x becomes negative 2. So how many roots do we have? Since the degree of given number 3 is 3. So it means we also have 3 roots or zeros of polynomial equation. So what are the roots? We have negative 3 and negative 2. And the other one is, let us go back to this one. So we have x is negative 1. So as one of the test 0, so therefore these are the number of roots of given number 3. So let's have number 4. We have x raised to 4 minus x cubed minus 11x squared plus 9x plus 18. Now let us find the number of roots of the polynomial equations. So since the constant is 18, so what are the factors of 18? So what are the factors of 18? We can have 1. You can have 2, 3, 6, 9, and also 18. So this can be the factors. You can also try negative. Okay, so let us try negative 1 as one of the test 0. Okay, so always arrange x in decreasing power of the variable. Okay, since it is already arranged, so write down all the coefficient. Coefficient of x raised to 4 is 1. X cubed is negative 1. X squared is negative 11. X is 9. Then we have 18 as the constant. Okay, bring down 1. So multiply 1 to negative 1. So therefore that is negative 1. Add negative 1 plus negative 1. That would be negative 2. Negative 2 times negative 1. Since you are multiplying the same sign, so it would be positive. Negative 11 plus 2 is negative 9. Then you multiply to negative 1. That is positive 9. 9 plus 9 is 18. Then we have 18 times negative 1 is negative 18. So 18 plus negative 18 is 0. So it means negative 1 is one of the roots of the polynomial equation. So let us find the other one. So since it is the remainder, so therefore this is the constant, coefficient of x squared, coefficient of x cubed. So we can write down as x cubed minus 2x squared. Then we have negative 9x plus 18. Okay? Is equal to 0. So what are the other roots? So let us try another test 0. So we have, let us use positive 2 this time. Okay? So write down again all the coefficient in decreasing power of the variable. So we have 1, negative 2, negative 9, and 18. Bring down 1. So 1 times 2 is 2. Negative 2 plus 2 is 0. 0 times 2 is 0. Negative 9 plus 0 is negative 9 times 2, that is negative 18. So therefore, when you add, that is 0. So it means 2 is one of the root or 0 of polynomial equation also. Okay, so this time 0 would be the remainder again. The negative 9 is the constant. We do not have x. Okay, so that is 0. Then we have the coefficient of x squared. So we can write x squared minus 9 is equal to 0. So this time, it is an example of the square of binomial. So you just factor it, sum and difference. So we have x, the other one is x. Then we have 9. So positive 3 and negative 3 is equal to 0. So equate them both to 0. X plus 3 is equal to 0 while the other one is x minus 3 is equal to 0. So when you add negative 3 both sides, x becomes negative 3 while the other one, x becomes positive 3. So how many roots do we have? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So the roots are negative 1, positive 2, negative 3, and positive 3. So these are the roots of example number 4. Since the degree is 4, so it means there are also 4 roots. Okay, so that's all for today. I hope you learned something.